Good morning, it's February 13th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. As a nation, we're swimming in debt. I'm talking about the federal level, the state level, and in many cases, the local level. And it does not stop there. As individuals, we're going deeper into debt than ever before. So let's start at the federal debt. I think everyone's heard the nation, we're about $134 trillion in debt, and it keeps growing every day. The Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan office that looks at our budgets, both in the present and the future, has predicted that our debt will reach $144 trillion by 2053, and that is equivalent to $1 million for each and every American. In fact, it's more than 4 times the median household net worth of $122,000. The CBO's latest long-term budget outlook shows that debt rising from 98% of GNP in 2023 to 181% of gross domestic product by 2053. This would be the highest level in American history. And over the last 50 years, the debt has averaged about 47% of GDP, but now it's just rocketing out of control. And federal spending is projected to increase from its 50-year average of 21% of GDP to 29% of GDP by 2053. It can't keep going. Mandatory spending grows from 73% of the federal budget today to 77% in 2033 to 81% in 2053. The growth of spending is driven by health care entitlement programs that are projected to increase spending faster than economic growth, rising interest costs, and Social Security payments. The rise of interest rates caused by inflation is making the problem worse year over year. The CBO projects that interest payments on the debt will exceed all discretionary government spending by 2047. It exceeds spending on Medicare by 2046 and past Social Security by 2051. And that's creating a real problem. We're not getting anything for those interest payments. We're just paying off interest. The deficit for fiscal year 2024 totals $1.4 trillion and continues to grow to $1.8 trillion in 2025. Deficits will continue to rise with current spending programs to $2.6 trillion in 2034. And I would point out normally those numbers are lower than what they really turn out to be. There's only one solution to this problem. We have to drastically cut spending. If we allow the deficits to continue and that national debt to balloon when interest payments become the number one item in the budget, then we're going to get nothing for what we're paying our taxes for. At the state level, we're seeing more and more states running shortages. Unlike the federal government, they have to come up with the funds, and that means either cutting programs or raising revenue, read that raising taxes in some manner. California is said to have a $60 million budget shortfall. But for some reason, Governor Newsom wants to downplay this. I think we all know the reason why. And while the legislature's independent budget analyst said the deficit will be at $68 billion, Newsom introduced a budget that says the deficit will be only $38 billion. By lowering the number, Newsom is able to use an array of budgetary gimmicks that have been used in the past, such as borrowing money from special funds, tapping reserves, and delaying some expenditures. And one of those tricks is simply not paying state employees on June 30th, the last day of the state fiscal year, and paying them on July 1st, creating the illusion of saving some $32 billion. This is simply kicking the can down the road and robbing Peter to pay Paul, as the saying goes. And California's problem is in part due to the flight of so many residents, particularly high-income residents, who are weary of the constant tax increases placed on them. In the last census, California actually lost a congressional seat, something I never thought I would see happen in my lifetime. And some analysts predict they may lose 2 more in the 2030 census. But the Democrats who control the California legislature will ignore their own budget analysts and go with Newsom's figure because it allows them to continue to spend more money. This problem is being played out in several other states around the nation where politicians like to spend the taxpayers' money to basically buy votes. Pennsylvania's Independent Fiscal Office reported that for the 9th consecutive year, the state faced long-term budget deficits. What is really concerning and a significant barometer of the true economic health of the nation is the personal debt that's being accumulated by individuals and households. In the last quarter, credit card balances grew to a new record of $1.4 trillion. Wages are not keeping up with the prices of everyday items like groceries and gas. The result is more consumers are relying on credit, and we now see the 90-day delinquency rate for credit card holders has jumped to 6.3%, and that's up from 4% a year earlier. More and more people are falling behind. By groups, the millennials are standing out. They're slipping into delinquency faster than any other group, and that's a dangerous trend. Looking at age groups, those between 18 to 29 find at least 10% of them are delinquent By that means they're 90 days behind, 3 months. And those in the 30 to 39 age are behind 9%. Well, compare that to older people between 60 and 69, only 4% of them are delinquent. What this tells me is that younger people want things now and they're willing to buy them on credit without any concern for paying for those products later. When you maintain a balance on a credit card, the interest is 21.47%, and being delinquent only adds to the total amount of debt individuals are in. And I've read some studies that show during the period where student loans do not have to be repaid, now they have to start paying them again, younger people just spent the money and believed that student debt would go away. This created spending habits they cannot sustain or afford if they continue. A few have even expressed the belief that the government will somehow magically erase all their debts. The problem is not going away. Interest rates remain high, and today's inflation report does not bode well for the Fed reducing them in any short period of time. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.